Welcome to Pride Performance, the England Lions football coaches show with Coach Mike Morrison. Welcome to Pride Performance. I'm Mike Minix, and I'm here with England Lion coach Mike Morrison. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Let's start with the coaches first and foremost. You and another gentleman, Coach Hauser, are the only two coaches coming back from last year's coaching staff. What are some of the pros and cons of adding so many new assistants?
The pros are it's something new, something exciting. Most kids like to grasp something new. They don't like the monotony of something year in, year out. These new coaches bring a fresh look to football here in England, defensively and offensively. They've had success at other systems. Cons, just the basic learning curve. Every system has to grow, has to build from one point to get to where they need to be. So the cons would be learning the system, learning how to work with these specific coaches compared to last year's coaches, how to work inside their system effectively.
So with the new coaches that came on board, was there a blending of ideologies, or did you basically keep the system you had last year and require those coaches to learn it?
We had a really good blending of ideologies. We interviewed a few folks, and these guys really fit what I wanted to do here. Like I said, they had success at other places. Coach Doherty's been at Barton, Ashdown, and Maud, Texas. When he was at Barton, they made the state finals in 2003. Ashdown made the state semifinals. When he was at Maud, they made the state semifinals. He was the defensive coordinator out there. Coach Price spent a lot of years at Robinson. They made the semifinals 3 years in a row. Has been at Bologna the past 2 years. So what I wanted something a little different. Coach Price brings in a good wing tee philosophy. But Bologna also worked in the Tony Franklin system, which is a hurry-up, no-huddle spread system that a lot of schools in the state and colleges are going to. And Coach Doherty, what I wanted to do was move over to the offensive side of the ball, so I needed a defensive coordinator that could take the system and run with it. And he's come in with a 4-6 Bear defense. It's a little complicated, and it's a very complicated system. Sometimes, we get some looks on the practice field where they don't know what they're doing. But when it's run effectively and the kids pick it up, it is a very effective defense.
Well, if I understand correctly, you've got a pretty young squad out there, so you're not necessarily having to teach the older Lions a new show. You've got some young guys in there who are getting their first taste of high school football with your new system.
Yes, we've got over half of our kids are sophomores.
Wow.
So they've, through junior high, they've learned, a couple years ago, they were in a base 4-3. Last year, we had a multiple set defense. This year, they're going with a 4-6 Bear. Offensively, they've been in the spread the past couple of years. We come out in a double slot set, which technically a lot of people will call spread because we still have two wide. We just have two that are tight. But the learning curve as far as the older guys, I think, is a little different than the younger kids.
Right.
The sophomores are actually doing a pretty good job of picking it up because they don't have so much information upstairs that they need to process to get there. We give it to them, they understand, we can go. Where the older kids, they've been just ingrained with what they've done for the past couple of years, and it's hard to get them out of certain rhythms.
And what about the junior high level? Is your philosophy, what you're preaching here at the high school level, is that filtered down there to where they're teaching
what we run in varsity, we run at the junior high. What we do is for 7th grade, we've given them basically 7 plays, 7 to 9 plays, about 7 running plays, 2 pass plays, which is our base offense. This is what they need to learn. So when they come up to the junior high, it's very easy to teach the other plays to the kids. Junior high runs a smaller version of what the varsity runs. They may run about half of what we run at the high school. There are certain plays we'll run at varsity that we won't run at junior high just because the blocking schemes are too complicated, the timing schemes are too tough, and it just becomes a thinking man's game at that point. And junior high, you want to make it as less thought as possible. So, yes, at the present moment, what we're doing is, we've got them all in a double slot, and we just, as they get older, they just learn more of the offense and the defense. And it's on the defensive side, we've got the junior high in 2 sets. We have the junior high in about 3/4 of the sets that we run, and obviously the varsity.
So it's pretty easy to get them up to speed when they get to the high school level.
Yes. So when they come up next, when we have spring football, they should all already know what to do, and then we can expand from that point on.
Well, speed seems to be a common thread. Last night, initially, the speed on the field was very fast. Even the scoring pace was very fast. England jumped out to an early 12-0 lead, and everything looked to be going great for the Lions. And then it just seems like, to use the old cliche, the wheels fell off the bus somehow. Something was a disconnect, and the final score being 25-44. What were some of the breakdowns that you can remember or point to in that game last night?
You know, we talked to the kids this week that we have the talents, we have the size, we definitely have the speed, we have the athleticism. Our biggest breakdown right now is mentally. We don't respond well when we have penalties called on us. We don't respond well when another team scores on us. When I took over last year, I watched game film from 2 years ago, and, you know, it's gotten a whole lot better than it was then, where there was a lot of finger pointing, a lot of arguing on the sidelines, people blaming each other for, you know, missed assignments instead of blaming inside and working together as a team and a family. This group I was very pleased with how they didn't give up last night, how they stayed together, they worked together. Nobody pointed a finger, nobody ran their mouth. We were extremely proud of them after the game. As far as the breakdowns go, you know, you come out up 12-0. We were beating them all over the football field. We were faster than they were. We were hitting harder than they were. We were driving them back. We gave them the ball back. They march down the field on about an 80-yard drive to make it 12-8. We punt back to them. They go down. They take the lead, and that's where we kind of saw the breakdown. You know, started to see the heads kind of drop a little bit. You know, didn't get the eyes up. The fire that we had in the first 6 minutes of the game just kind of was lost. And it was a struggle, but they didn't give up. They fought the entire game, and at that point, Carlisle had the momentum. They used it to their advantage. They knew where to hit us, and they knew where to hit us hard, and we just couldn't recover.
Well, on a positive note, there's some good things that you guys saw in the game.
We saw a lot of great things last night. Tim Howard on that slant pattern that he took, they out-sprinted 5 Carlisle kids.
Very effective play.
That was one of the prettiest plays I've seen in a long time. It was a textbook slant, hit it after 2 steps, let the kid run it out, and that was a pretty play. DeMarcus Bunch did a good job. Our biggest problem last night was we just didn't have a running game. We could not run the football. We wanted to get the ball in TJ's hands a little more, but, you know, Carlisle was keying on him. And when they keyed on him, we tried to check out of it. We had a tough time. We didn't block on the edges very well. We didn't block interior very well. You know, a lot of people like to blame, what was the Lions' fault? It was just, you know, at that point, it became everybody. You know, the quarterback wasn't making correct reads. The receivers weren't running the right routes. We weren't getting the backfield blocking that we needed. You know, Mark Hatton picking up that fumble on defense and running it back was a huge boost. We saw some things that we really liked. DeMarcus stepping up in the pocket when it's collapsing around him and making the throw. DeMarcus checking out of a blitz and making the short pass. There's a lot of positives that we can build on. After the game, the coaches sat down and, you know, we put up on the board all the good stuff, the positive stuff that we saw tonight. You know, it was actually a pretty long list. You know, it wasn't something where it was just a complete breakdown. You know, there are a lot of good things we saw. Our kicking game is, other than our extra point right now, which we need to work on a little bit, our kickoff, you know, our punts and our punts return and kick returns, they looked great.
Great. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had a kicker. I have never been on a team where we stopped the team inside their 20-yard line on every kickoff. That's a weapon right there to push a team back that far every single kickoff, to make them start inside their own 20 every time. That is a huge asset. That'll be great for us this year.
And that leads us into the defensive side of the ball, and we'll address that when we get back and possibly get an injury update.
You're listening to Pride Performance with Coach Mike Morrison.